one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty, salty mines of the howling, of the magic, those salty, salty mines of the Magic the Gathering community.
Hang on. Scratch all that shit. Welcome back, prospectors. I'm taking over. Sam can't handle doing the fucking intro anymore.
You cannot take over. We find the saltiest stories, the saltiest posts that you love, put them in our minecart, and bring them right back up to you, our dear prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined today by my singular co-host, Tony.
Hey, beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
Gremlin Boys.
It's a Gremlin Boys episode. We're going to be a little weird, a little gremlin-y. Mike is not here to rein us in. So, we're going to talk about...
Those are the best episodes, though.
We're going to talk about, like, poops and farts and stuff like that, all the crazy stuff that Mike refuses to have us air in the show.
Schmegma, all the things.
Oh, God. Rein it in. Rein it in. Pull it back. Where's Mike? Let me call Mike up.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. We just hit it immediately.
Yeah, I got to come in high,
Yeah, I know. I know. But yeah, Mike's not here because sometimes we're just shitty at scheduling, and this is one of those weeks.
Yeah. Well, sometimes our jobs get in the way. I'm traveling. Right?
Yeah,
that's why. It's because I won't be in this state.
Tony had a last minute work travel thing pop up, and he's going to be in the air while we typically record. So so we figured we'd just jump in and do a little Gremlin Boys action. It had been a while since you and I have done one.
It's been a while. Do you think people will be annoyed at how much I say it's been a while now?
It has been every episode since the last 3, I think.
It just teaches us how frequently we say it's been a while.
Yeah, we really do. I was recently on an episode of Going on an Adventure, which is a podcast that interviews Magic the Gathering creators, and we just kind of talk about whatever. And I was talking about the process of editing the podcast and how we have to listen to our own voices for hundreds and hundreds of hours, and how you pick up on all these idiosyncrasies of how you talk and how you say the exact same shit over and over again, and it just drives you crazy. And it was a fun thing to talk about, and it's so fucking true, man. I was literally I'm just coming off of editing an episode and recording this with you. We had a quick time slot, and we were like, let's do it. So I just closed Audacity and opened up this, and now just podcast all the time, man.
Yeah, living that podcaster life. That's all you know.
I really am. It's all I know now. It's all I can do. Just talking to a microphone about whatever.
Yeah, but people, I don't want to talk to them, but into this cold mic. Give me that all day long.
Exactly. This is when I can turn on the razzle dazzle. In real life, I'm so boring.
I mean, so
it's not true. I'm the same.
No, it's
I'm the exact
true.
same all the time.
He's awkward, folks. Oh, man.
But before we get into it, we got something we got to do, Tony.
What we got to do, baby?
We got to shout out the nice tier patrons.
Hey.
We've got Hephaestus Bolts, Prime Speaker Florian, Yafe Judge, and Accidental TPK.
Yay.
Thanks for the support, y'all. We appreciate it.
Fuck yeah. Love that.
Dude, what's really awesome?
No.
Uber Eats.
Yo, fuck Uber Eats. Are you kidding me right now?
Are you kidding me?
I'm a Grubhub all the way.
Okay, yeah.
Grubhub, or do you just
mean
the services that provide you food directly to your door?
That's exactly what I mean. Services that provide you food directly to your door. I know that there's some shitty stuff with Uber Eats. I know there's some shitty stuff with Grubhub, and it sucks to work for those organizations, and it can be a horrible grind.
Yeah, but I don't work for them. They just give me shit.
But man, the convenience, dude. It's so good. And
I hope you realize we are the problem, Sam.
Yeah, I know. I accept it. I'm fucking lazy, dude. Sometimes I'm sleepy or I'm I've been drinking already, and I really just want like candy and snacks.
Never have I ever just ordered groceries from Uber Eats, but they do post it all the time. They're like, yo, like we could get you like shit from gas stations now. Like, what do you want? We'll fucking bring it to you.
So Grubhub is like where I order takeout and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a few places that I do just straight up call because, old school like that. But Uber Eats specifically is where I get the gas station candy.
Yeah.
And it's because somebody gave us like an Uber Eats card, like Caroline got one from work or something like that. So we just have like $80 to Uber Eats and loaded it in the app. And every once in a while, I'm like, I just want like gummy bears,
Skittles or something.
Yeah, like Skittles and like chips, man, and like a soda. And it's like $15 for those 3 things, but it's fucking free money because someone gave it to us. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, I can press a button and get that stuff in like 30 minutes. Hell yeah, I'm doing that. Oh, it's the best.
I feel like the main reason I was like, fuck Uber Eats when you first said that is because there's been so many times that I've ordered through Uber Eats. So when I used to live in Cambridge, we would get from Wingstop, was it? I think it was Wingstop. And
is that like a wings over kind of place?
It's similar kind of concept. Yeah. It's a take out fast wings kind of place, but it was pretty good. But like you could only order on Uber Eats for it. Like no other apps had it. You couldn't DoorDash, you couldn't whatchamacallit, Grubhub.
Yep.
So you had to Uber Eats. And when you did, it would many times just cancel. Like it would delay and then delay again and then delay again. It'd be like, you're going to get your food in fucking 40 minutes. And you're like, you know what? Prime time. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
I want that. I want wings. This is going to be so fucking good. I'm like ready for it. I'm like salivating just thinking about it.
I want wings now.
It gets to, 5 minutes before your order's supposed to arrive. And it's like, ding. Just kidding. It's going to be here in another 20 minutes. And I'm like, what? All right. Like, that's okay. And then ding. Another 20 minutes, and then ding, another fucking 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours have gone by. You're like, where the fuck are my wings? You're calling the restaurant. They're like, we don't know what's going on. Like,
they're like,
make
who
orders.
are you?
Like,
what wings?
And then the order just cancels. And that happened multiple times.
Oh, dude, that's fucking shitty.
With like different places. It wasn't just like the Wingstop. Like it was all Stephanie's a big Shake Shack girly. And so
I do love me some Shake Shack.
Before every diet we have, she's like, I must have Shake Shack first. The number of times before the wedding that we had our last, Shake Shack before we were dieting was many.
Yeah, you had a lot of final Shake Shack meals,
like so many times, sometimes a week apart, and I'm like, Stephanie, like
we didn't do enough in the last week to earn this Shake Shack meal.
But I do love me a good shake, so like what are you gonna do?
Yep, you got to do it.
But anyway, that was like my deal with Uber Eats. They always cancel my orders. And they're like, oh, we'll give you like a $5 coupon to use us again. I'm like, fuck off. Dude. Are you fucking with me right now? Like,
dude, that's the danger of those services because they don't always have like the hours right for the restaurants and shit. And those restaurants, because those services can be so predatory with how they like just slam small businesses with orders and shit like that.
Yeah.
A lot of places where you can order food will just like turn it off and be like, we do that stuff normally. We don't do it during peak hours, or we don't do it on like Mondays or shit like that. So like I'll check the website sometimes and it'll be like, oh, like this local pizza place, fucking Wise Guys Deli, classic staple of Providence, Rhode Island.
Fucking Wise Guys.
I want a big fucking Tony bologna sandwich or whatever. Like they got a bunch of like weird ass sandwiches there. And like we'll order and I'll check online and I'm like, yeah, they're open. And then it's like, yeah, but Grubhub's not getting it, man. You can't get it right now. You got to pick something else. So
I was gonna say that's my toxic trait, that I will pick something else, even if it's fucking 5 minutes from me. Every single place that we order is like very close to where I live. I will not lie.
I think once you set your mind to getting delivery food, like that's where you're at. You're not like, oh, now let's make an excursion and like put on my outdoor pants.
I've gone down a dark hole. I don't put on outdoor pants. I just leave the sweatpants on.
Yeah, I do too.
I got in the sweatpants and my fucking UGG slippers.
Oh man, I'm a Croc guy. So I'm literally wearing Crocs right now as we record, like my house Crocs, which have just become my life Crocs.
Yeah, dude. I know what you mean though, because like we literally, the only thing that I pick it up, and I'm always sad about it, is Indian food because the place we found that's good is not on any of the delivery services. I would pay probably double to like not have to fucking go get it, but that is not an option. And so I must always go and pick it up. They're actually like weird because they must be super busy all the time. Because anytime I go in there, they're packed. And sometimes you call and it's like, we're too full and not taking orders right now. Go fuck yourself.
What? Wow.
But if you literally like hang up and call back again, they will usually pick up and then take your order. Sometimes you got to do it 3 or 4 times, but like, I don't like know what the deal is, but if they just put that on for show or what. But like, I was just determined the one night and I was like, I fucking want it. I don't care. And I just called again and then they picked up and like, hey, yeah, we'll take your order. I was like, oh, yeah, give me all my shit.
Great,
thanks.
man. Like they can just turn the phone off. They're like, yeah, we're not doing it right now.
Like literally, I think that's just the message that happens when they don't pick up. And so I'm
I kind of love that,
guys. That doesn't see. That's like a fucking power move and a half.
It is. It like makes it seem exclusive and rare. Like you want it, you know.
And I did fucking want
it. Oh man. Well, Indian food can be salty.
Can it? I think it's mostly spicy, but
yeah, it's mostly
I'll give it
very
to you.
savory and well spiced. But you know, I'm just trying, man. I'm trying to film Mike's big.
I was gonna say, we know that like Mike's not here. It's okay. The transitions will be bad, and it's fine.
Yeah, they can just be bad, and we can be cool with it.
Yeah. We'll give him enough raunch in other ways that it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But Sam, what's salt?
Thanks for asking, Tony. Salt is frustration in the game.
Hey.
You know, it's really an umbrella term. We've got the full shakers, someone kicking their deck pox. Their deck pox.
Somebody kicking that deck pox all across the room.
Somebody coming down in your LGS
pox.
and infecting everyone with a deck pox. You're like, no, my deck, no.
That's what happens when you are trying to do altars, right? And you you put the painter's tape on it, and then you rip off part of your card. That's deck pox right there.
Oh man, I was literally just showing Tony this card that I was whitebordering, where I was erasing the black border, and I like ripped a huge strip of the art right off of it because of the masking tape. And you know what? I'm still gonna play with it because whatever.
Hell yeah.
Salt is also the small little grains, the little frustrations, the little weird moments where someone doesn't have the vibe, the social dynamic is off. Someone's like, well, I don't take deals and I don't make deals. And you also can't make deals. And you're like, well, too bad, because I'm making one right now. Those kind of vibes where, you know, things are a little weird, things are tense. That can be salt. Not the most overt salt, but just a little sprinkle. And we talk about all the ranges of salt. We talk about all the salty situations we can to learn, to grow, to become better people for future salty games, and to make a bunch of like pee and wee jokes sometimes.
I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, you know.
We know what the people want, and what they want.
I know what the crusty dicklings want, and that's what they want.
Yeah, exactly. They want like the occasional weird joke where you know, we don't have him on the episode today, but where Mike goes like, "Oh no, don't do that."
Yeah. And that's the problem. When Mike's not here, we just do it.
Yeah, we just do it, and then
we feel no remorse for it.
Well, you had that one at the start of the episode that I didn't like, so there's some remorse. There's some there.
Yeah.
But let's fucking get into it, man. We got 3 lovely salty stories from our listeners today. And we're gonna hit it.
Yeah, we gotta delve into the mind to get them.
Let's fucking do it. Hey, real quick, it's fucking crazy that we basically get all of our questions from listeners now.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? I was thinking about it the other day. Like, we used to have dedicated mail day episodes where it was like, oh, this one's going to be crazy. It's only stories from listeners. And now it's like, we need to have like dedicated Reddit episodes, because I literally don't do any questions from Reddit anymore. I mean, we still have some, but we just get flooded by so many.
Hell yeah.
I do love it though. Please keep sending them in. They're great. All right. This first one comes to us from our buddy Charles. What's up, Charles? And this is a Gmail submission. And it didn't really have a post title. There's no subject in the subject line here. So we're just going to rip into it.
That means that he actively like submitted, and like Google was like, yo, you don't have a title. Like, are you going to submit anyway? And he was like, fuck it.
Fuck it.
Doesn't even need it.
Fall in here. And the story goes, Dear Salty Gang, my wife and I met you all at Magic 30 in Vegas, and you were all so cool. We both became instant fans.
Hell yeah.
That is, I did not write that. Someone else wrote that. Like, that is great, man.
Sam's head just like grew 4 sizes this day.
So good, dude. I have a salty tale and also seek your collective advice. My wife has been personal friends with the owner of our LGS for over 20 years. The store's second in command is also a close and dear friend, and most people there know it. We are sort of unofficial store ambassadors, and as such, we don't ever want to put our friend's business in any kind of negative light. For years, the local commander group has been a fun, caring, and friendly bunch of folks who all gathered for the love of playing with friends and catching up. Then, sometime just after the pandemic, this guy started showing up. T, we'll call him. T has all the personality of a tiny rock stuck in your shoe. That's so good. He criticizes others on poor plays or taking too long and then proceeds to take 20-minute turns, often changing his mind halfway through explaining some tedious bullshit combo to explain some other tedious bullshit combo. And most egregious of all is his threat assessment. My wife's favorite commander is Negan. She works at a comic shop and she loves Negan, so it fits. It is dawning on me who these people are now. I remember them. You guys were lovely at Magic 30. It was so fun to meet you. This was during the two-headed giant tournament, Tony.
Oh,
this is who Nick.
I know
this is
exactly
who Nick and Mike
is.
played.
Yes,
during the two-headed
exactly
giant tournament.
We were going to play them. We thought we were playing them.
Yes,
and then they shuffled the tables.
Yeah, we sat down with them originally.
Mike and Nick actually played them.
Yeah, that's so funny. We were like, "Oh, our friends." Okay, cool. Love this. Yeah, I remember this Negan deck. It was really cool. She works at a comic shop and she loves Negan, so it fits. It is a very slow deck, and she also often purposefully plays suboptimally or targets me because she doesn't want to upset anyone. I tend to build fun theme decks based on things I love, not what the most competitive meta is at the time. T will often target either me or my wife, knocking us out first because, quote, we are the threat, end quote, usually after 4 turns of I play a land and pass. We have both brought this up to the management casually, and they basically said, yeah, he's kind of a jerk, but he really isn't doing anything wrong, so we can't kick him out. My question is, short of going somewhere else, which we have started occasionally doing, sadly, how would you guys avoid getting stuck with someone like this and not seem like a bully on the playground saying, you can't play with us? I'm just tired of wasting the 3 precious hours a week I get, if I'm lucky, by being targeted and knocked out first before I do anything, then sitting around, not allowed to talk for an hour and a half or more waiting for a new game to open. And for my record, my win count is very low, like maybe 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 15 games. So it's not like I'm known for being the scary player either.
Yeah, that's brutal. And like the literal perfect description of this player, this T, is the rock that's stuck in your shoe. Like it's actually like, so like they're really not like that bad, but it's so fucking annoying. Like
yeah.
And you like take your fucking shoe off and you think you get rid of it, and then you put your shoe back on and you walk 2 more steps and you're like, fuck, it's still there. Because it like stuck to your sock or some shit. Like,
you
and
think
then
it shifted
like
to like a good spot and then it just pops out again. Oh man. And also like these small little annoying things, as therapy has told me, resentment builds on like small little slights, you know, like these little things that you don't really talk about, and then they grow and grow and grow. And then eventually you're like, I fucking hate this dude.
Yeah.
And it's like
they're breathing and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. like when someone annoys you to that point, they can just be like, hey, good morning. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, I know that feeling too well.
Yeah.
Too well.
But man, I feel you. Like, especially if you only get 3 hours a week to play and it's like random matchups at the LGS and stuff, you know, that kind of stuff can really grate on you over time. And I do wonder how like T sees it. T probably doesn't see this dynamic, of course. Often these people are kind of oblivious to it. And T may even be like, oh, hey, it's my 2 buddies. We're going to play a game and I'm going to knock them out. And it'll be so funny because I do this all the time. And like sometimes these people are very unaware of what they're doing as being incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation. I mean, what would you do here, Tony?
I probably wouldn't take the high road, and I would take more of the bully road, and I would just like organize it such that the games I was playing are with people I want. I'm definitely the type of person that would be more aggressive on the front of like, hey, like you and you, let's play. Like,
Yeah.
I'm ready, and just like be the first person to speak up when like pods are getting assigned. I don't know. That was one thing I was like curious about, honestly. I was like, I don't know how the pods are like actually happening. If it's just like whoever shows up first. Because I would then also be like, oh, actually, I have to like pee and drink a lot of water and do all these things before I play if they were there. And I'd wait,
now, actually.
And I'd like wait for like, you know, other people to show up. And then like I would just try and control how the pods get assigned. I feel like the bigger, better thing is to just like say something. It's really awkward, like we were saying, to like say something to people.
Yeah.
But like they could just be unaware. And like sometimes it's simple, but like I would never do it in front of other people. I always feel like it's easier to just like pull somebody aside and be like, yo, look, between you and me, this is like annoying. I'm trying to have a good game. I don't want you to feel bad about it, but I just want you to know that like this is happening and it's like annoying me and it's kind of like harshing my vibe. So like, I want to keep playing with you, but like
not if you're playing like this.
Kind of has to stop because it's like actually just like aggravating me and I just want to have fun. Like, can we just have fun?
Yeah.
And like I think most people, when pulled aside, are like understanding about those kinds of things. They're like, hey, like, you know, I'm not trying to do that. Like, it's cool. We'll be cool. And like, we'll just fucking play Magic and have a good time. And maybe if that only lasts for 1 or 2 games, then like, at least you got 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, at least you got something. I think the first thing you said, like, I'm right there with you. This would be a situation where I would reach out to friends that I knew were going to be at the LGS that night and be like, yo, I'm stoked to play a game with you guys. Do you want to pod up when we get there? Let's like synchronize our watches, show up at the same time. Then you have a known pod that you know is going to be a really good time. And at least your first game, you can get in and make sure your first game is like a banger. And then worst case, you have your second game with this dude. And, you know, there's some unpleasantness and stuff like that. But at least you can get that 1 game in, maybe 2, maybe more, with this pod that you know is going to be fun. And, you know, I mean, that's how we play. We play weekly with our pod. Not as much weekly these days because we're busy boys. But we play with our known pod and we know the vibe and we know it's going to be fun. One other thing that you could try is in those moments where they're like, hey, you're the threat. Like maybe there's a window for some politics there. I will say it sounds like this person is a little bit like, probably not the most receptive player to that if they're targeting you and all that kind of shit and taking these really long turns. But just being like, hey, if you don't knock me out, I'll remove something that is threatening your board. I won't attack you for the next couple turns. Like you can use a little bit of the game to at least not get knocked out super quick. There are some other things you can do. Like I frequently say lately, I've been saying this a lot on Reddit, that I've never seen a table conflict resolved through deck building, but there's a little bit of something that you could consider here, like decks that can't get blown out really easily, like pillow fort decks and stuff like that. But then again, based on what you said, like you want to play the decks that you want to play, and you want to play these more thematic decks. And it doesn't sound like building a specific deck to like hose this one dude is really something that you want to do, but I figured I'd mention it anyways.
I'm trying to tell him to pub stomp right now.
Yeah, not quite. I'm just saying, like,
let it be known, fans. Sam advocates for pub stomping.
If they're
wants you to bring a deck and just fucking slap this guy with it.
Yeah, just bring a CDH deck and be like, hey, oh, interesting combo. At instant speed, I'm going to combo off on top of your combo. And but I do think like there could be some things that you can do with like a deck. But honestly, I don't know. I don't think you need to do that.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating.
It is. And I think it's also interesting that you already mentioned like we started going other places because sometimes you just need to go to the beach where there aren't rocks and like you don't have, you know, rocks in your shoe. And then you feel like better when you come back and you get one little rock and you're like, okay, like it's annoying, but like spreading it out like helps. So you're already kind of doing that. But like, it's not like you want to do that because you want to like be at your friend's LGS and like have a good time. But yeah, I feel like there's the high road to take and the road that Tony would take, and they are different. And I address them, but like, it will never change if you don't say something, right? Like you can try and get around it as much as you want, but it won't change unless you say something. Got to be the change you want to see in the world, you know?
I will say though, those conversations are hard, man.
Oh, for
Especially
sure.
when like if it's happening in the moment and you're trying to have that conversation, it's gonna come out so weird. You're gonna be like all
Yeah.
heated. And again, it's that thing with resentment where it builds up over time because at the end of the day, it's a fairly small issue, right? But it has grown to be this thing that's so huge, so annoying that you're considering just going to a different LGS altogether.
Yeah.
So like you kind of, if you're gonna have that conversation, you need the timing to be right. It can't be right after you get kicked out of a game because you'll be like, you always kick me out of these games. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, whoa. And like it's gotta be where things are kind of casual and you're just hanging out. And honestly, maybe it doesn't happen with this person.
Yeah.
And maybe you do have to just be like, hey, you can't play with us. Like maybe that's something that this person needs to hear is they come and try to play with you. And you're like, hey, you know what, man, every time I play with you, you knock me out first. That's not really the kind of game I'm looking to have tonight. So I'm going to try to find a pod with some other people.
Yeah.
To that person, that simple statement might be enough to be like, oh shit, I guess I have been doing that. Or, oh gosh, like people don't want to play with me because of my behavior or something. And it doesn't have to be this huge conversation. It is really just kind of like a simple statement. And that might be enough to kind of shake that person out of this pattern a little bit. Or at the very least, give you an out where that night you can just play with some other people, you know?
For sure. What do you think about the salt rating here on this one?
It's not full shaker, but it's high,
like a
man.
fucking rock in your sandal, you know?
Yeah,
I fucking love that so much. Like I feel like it was literally perfect. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's a piece of rock salt in my boot while I'm shoveling snow. You know what I mean? Like I'm fully laced up. I can't take my boot off because it's cold and it's wet everywhere. So I just have to put up with it, and I have to do this arduous task of 3 hours of snow shoveling. You know, if people don't live in snowy areas.
whoa, bro, pretty slow. Like,
dude, I got a big ass driveway. I mean, you've seen it, and it's got that slope. It's like a real pain.
kind of small to me. 3 hours seems like a long time. Like, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
you jerk. Maybe 2 hours. Fine. 30 minutes. I meant 30 minutes. I'm really strong and fast. What do you think, man? What's your salt rating on this one?
I think it's just as said. It's like such a frustration, and it's like growing. Like eventually you're gonna pop, and that's you don't want to get to that. So like you got to do something before you pop.
Yeah,
it feels like not so bad right now, but I've had this happen many times in my life where again somebody like comes up next to me and they're breathing, and I'm like, you are the bane of my existence. Like don't fucking speak to me right now. Like I'm literally like I literally can't, and I'm not happy about those, but I know they've happened, and you don't want this to happen to yourself. So.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Like, you got to do something before you pop because you don't want to have that moment at the table where you're like, stop fucking knocking me out.
Yeah. Is that how you would say it, Sam?
Yeah,
I need a clip of that audio. And I think every time in a Patreon game night someone dies, we have to play it.
Put it on the soundboard. Stop fucking knocking me out.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, you got another one for me or what?
You know I do.
The Gremlin boys need some salt.
Yeah, I need to eat salt to live. This next one comes to us from Mark, and this is a Reddit DM.
Marky Mark
and the Funky Bunch. And I wrote down Mark. I didn't write down the Reddit username because I'm fucking professional, frankly. And it was an intentional decision and not a mistake.
Definitely.
And you know what? If you see someone just with the username Mark on Reddit, give them an upvote. You know the drill. Spread that goodwill. Also congratulate them on having such an awesome username of just Mark. And this post is titled "Looking to Test a Jank Urza." And it goes, "Hello, I have a salty story for the salt bag. I love the podcast and I've been listening since episode 1. Yo, dude.
Let's fucking go, Mark.
One of our fucking day ones. That's wild, man. Yeah, it must have been like I think we had like
wait, does that read such that like actually like on the first day? Like is that true?
I think that's the implication here, dude. That it seems like that's the implication. Day 1.
Mark, you better email us back and be like, yo, Straight up, this is the date. I want the download receipt. I want to see it.
If this is true, Mark, you gotta let us know. I need to know because you were among like
I want to know how the fuck you found us. Yeah, like that's what I want to know.
You might have been one of the 10 people that saw that Reddit post and one of the 3 that actually clicked through and listened.
Yeah.
Oh man, crazy. And the story goes, I asked a buddy of mine to let me test an Urza Lord Protector deck against him during lunch at work. So this isn't mono blue Urza. This is let me look him up. Let me just Google this.
Quick Google gets you there.
Oh, there's so I shouldn't have just put Urza in. There's so many things.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Oh, this is the Azorius
Is it the meld one?
Meld one. Yep, this is the meld Urza. Okay. I asked a buddy of mine to let me test an Urza Lord Protector deck against him during lunch at work. I told him I've never built an Azorius deck before, and it was unlikely to be anything special or even powerful. He agrees and says he'll put something together from his commander cube to test it against the next day. Fast forward to lunch the next day, I take out my janky Urza deck, which is entirely made to make the meld happen. I could have just read the story and we would have known which one it was. Neat, but not powerful. My buddy pulls out a freshly made Turgrid deck. And turn 1 proceeds to drop Mana Crypt, Swamp, Soul Ring, and Mox Amber.
Nice.
Grinning, he says he couldn't have planned a better opening hand. I play my land and say pass. Needless to say, he wiped the floor with me and my deck. He apologized after, saying he expected Urza to be powerful and to put up a better fight. To say I felt salty is an understatement.
Yeah.
Nice little quick one.
Oh, man. I feel like we've all seen that happen too, because like when that happens, you're like, man, I'm fucked. Like that's all you can there's like nothing else you can do. This
takes me back to like when you and I used to play our 60 card decks against each other all the time. And if people haven't heard, I know we've talked about it before. I know we've talked about it a bunch on our Patreon episodes, but Tony and I used to play 60 card Magic pretty religiously before we got into EDH. And I'm not talking standard or modern or legacy or vintage or fucking pioneer or anything. This was just like a weird kitchen table 60 card meta that evolved out of our college Magic group.
Yeah.
And like the decks were still pretty good by our own assessment, but like we're nowhere near some of the crazy jank that you're seeing. Okay, not jank, some of the crazy spice that you're seeing in those more tuned and constructed formats. But there would be these times where you'd make a new deck and play against someone else. And when you just get outclassed in the head to head, it's just like, it's so obvious that you're fucked and you're going to lose, you know?
I mean, honestly, usually in those formats, it's almost kind of better though, because it's usually faster. It's usually like,
yeah,
hey, you're already dead. Like, just quit now. Like back in that time frame, I think I actually did concede more. I think I would like see something like that and be like, I can't keep up, and I would just quit. It's over.
I feel like it's way more valid to concede in a head-to-head format because you're like, yeah, writing's on the wall. Like you don't need to go through the motions and swing. I know I'm dead. Like sometimes you go to your turn and you draw your card and you're like, I concede, because you just know there's nothing else. Like you were waiting for that sweet top deck and you're like, I got nothing. I'm fucking out.
Like straight
I cannot win here.
I think I actually did that in when we were at Magic 30. There was like a little booth that somebody had, one of the vendors, and they had like old constructed decks, all monocolor, all super old decks, and you could just like pick one and play against the person there. And if you won, you got to like pick a card that you would get. If you lost, you also got to pick a card that you got. I have one somewhere. It's like,
it was like a random graded slabbed card, like a common or something, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
And I conceded during that because I like drew a card and I was just like, I got nothing. Like I concede. And he was probably like 3 turns away from killing me, but I was just like, I've drawn shit for the past like 4 turns and I just can't get out of it. And I'm just over it. I just don't want to do this anymore. Like,
dude, that's the infinite prize glitch. You draw and then you concede and you get another prize card and then you shuffle up again and you draw and concede. Just fucking drain them of all their prizes.
I should have been doing that for sure. But I do feel like anytime somebody says Urza, like I'm playing Urza, like those cards are all inherently powerful. So I can't say that I fully am like surprised that this like Turgid deck came and hit the table, but
should we read what this Urza deck is? I really don't know what Urza Lord Protector does.
All I know is it's fucking blue, white, and control.
It says Urza Lord Protector. It's 3 mana, 1 a white and a blue. Legendary creature, human artificer, a 2/4. And it says artifact, instance, and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less. That's fucking dope.
I was gonna say that's not powerful at all.
That's so good for 3 mana. Holy shit. And then 7 mana activated ability. If you both own and control Urza Lord Protector and an artifact named the Mightstone and the Weakstone, exile them, then meld them into Urza Planeswalker. Activate only as a sorcery. All right. Now we got to read all these. Urza Planeswalker says you may activate the loyalty abilities of Urza Planeswalker twice each turn rather than only once. +2 artifact, instance, and sorcery spells you cast this turn cost 2 less and you gain 2 life. +1 draw 2 cards, then discard a card. A little rummage there, or what is it? Loot? You're looting there.
Loot.
Yeah, a little loot action. 0, create 2 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens. -3, exile target non-land permanent. -10, artifacts and planeswalkers you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Destroy all non-land permanents. And it starts with 7 loyalty.
Oh, wow.
5 loyalty abilities. I mean, it's a super giant planeswalker on the back of 2 cards, but that's fucking, that's wild, dude.
Honestly, it feels like the planeswalker isn't that great outside of the ult, which if you can proliferate once, then you could like hit it on the turn it comes down.
Yeah. Like get pretty close, like do the +2 and then the -10.
But honestly, just like the stock, like, reduce your spells on like the Urza feels better than when you actually meld it. But
I mean, consider on the Planeswalker, you can use that +2 ability twice. So you can make all your shit cost 4 less for a turn. Like that's pretty good, dude. That's
this is my problem. Good. I just don't play fucking Spellslinger decks. So I'm like, why would you do it that? Like, whatever.
The 2 instants and sorceries I run, why would I want those cheaper? But I will say this deck doesn't scream at me like it's going to be some crazy competitive build. I'm sure those exist, but I mean, I don't think there's anything CDH for it, but I'm sure there's like a powerful build that exists. But man, if a friend is like, hey, dude, I want to test out a deck. We're going to do some 1v1 commander. I already know it's not like the greatest way to play commander. And they're like, hell yeah. Do you want to play against a Turgid deck? A really unpleasant commander? One of the top saltiest commanders out there. You want to play against that shit?
Well, it's unpleasant in like a multiplayer format, but like one opponent, like go fuck yourself. Like
it's so oppressive.
There's literally nothing you can do.
Yeah, you can't like band together with the rest of the Avengers and defeat that deck, you know? You're just like, well, I hope I top deck shit. Also, the fact that they just got the God Hand too, just is like an extra kick in the dick, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, dude. Here's my like turn 2 Turgid. Sorry about that.
Yeah, get fucking wrecked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're like, cool. I think I'd rather just keep working actually instead of take this lunch break.
Yeah, I know, right? So, you know, I'm just gonna go back to work. That's how fun this has been. Like,
I will say that Commander Cube sounds spicy, and I would love to play it. That sounds fun with like some Mana Crypt and shit in there. Ooh, yeah. It just like it kind of speaks to the power level that's in that cube, and I want to check that out for sure.
For sure. What do you think about the salt rating on this one though?
I mean, it's like when you get a little ocean water in your mouth when you're swimming, you know, and you just like choke on it for a little minute, and like it's just so salty and overpowering in your mouth, but it's over quickly, and then you recover, and you're like, that was unpleasant. I never want to. Like, I'm just gonna like take a couple minutes away from the ocean. Like it's rare, but it's unpleasant, and it leaves a horrible bad taste in your mouth, but it is over quickly.
Yeah. It does feel like a very sad salt to me because like truly when you're working, you know, and like you're like, oh, I got a little break. I'm going to have some fun. And then it's just not. And then you got to go back to work. Sure. There are people who love their jobs. There's probably more people that don't though. So let's just be honest with ourselves. Like it's usually a means to an end.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for it. I do like my job, but like I would be real sad. Like I had like 15 minutes of fun and then it turned into that. And then I'm like, well, now I get to go work for the rest of the day. Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's a hard thing, man, when you want to test out a deck. Usually if someone is like, hey, I want to test out a new deck, I'm like, okay, this isn't polished yet. This just needs reps. It just needs to play against like a very typical deck. Like bring a precon or something, you know what I
Remember
mean?
that the next time I play a new deck, Sam.
Okay, this would be very different if before bringing a new deck, you weren't hyping it up for weeks, being like, I think you guys won't hate this deck. But it is powerful. It is powerful. And we're like, what's your commander? And it's like, it's this commander that instantly kills people. And we're like, yeah, why do you think we would like this?
Yeah, what can you do?
I know what to expect, man. I know it's coming.
Well, should we hit one last one?
Let's do one
more for the
story.
Gremlin Zone.
One more Gremlin story. Nuts. It's gotta, keep up the energy.
Yeah, I needed that. My energy was too low, so I definitely needed some nuts in there.
Just needed to hear the word nuts.
Yeah, it sparked like life in me, creativity as well. Like I'm a changed man now.
Galaxy brain moment. So this next one comes to us from our Patreon, and this one comes to us from our buddy Media Magnet. Media Magnet is in like the upper 5% of patrons that gives us a lot of salt. Like I feel like Media Magnet encounters a lot of salt pretty frequently, which I dig. I dig it a lot for sure. And they're good stories too. They're very varied. And this is titled I ... may have nuked someone to salt land. And the story goes, last night I was playing with a couple friends at our LGS Night Watch games in San Antonio. Pay us Night Watch, or we are gonna bleep that for all future episodes, but we'll leave it up. We'll leave it up on the first one.
We'll give you a week,
but you got to give us those royalties, We had decided to have a Golgari party while waiting for some others to show up. So I was playing Chatterfang. Friend 1 was on Yargle and Multani, and friend 2 was on Old Stick Fingers.
That's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, everyone's playing like the same colors.
Have everyone play the same pairing. Yeah,
I dig that. Through some well-timed ramp, the Yargle player was able to get his commander out on turn 4 or 5, along with an enchantment that gives it flying. During the same time, I was able to get Chitter Spitter out and Chatterfang, along with a couple of token squirrels. Old Stickfingers had recurred some stuff and managed to get a decent board state also. Now on to the turn that caused the salt. My friend goes to swing at me with Yargle. I see this coming and get on my politicking stand with the following argument. I'm sitting on 3 squirrel tokens. You send that at Old Stickfingers and we could one-shot him. Wait, how is this happening? Hold on. Pause. We're pausing. I need to read what the fuck a Chitter Spitter is. It's the only thing I don't know.
Shit on my spitter.
She chit on my spit till I tur. She chit on my squirrel till I spit. I know she spit on my squirrel till I chit.
Yeah. Oh, she fucking did. Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see. It says it's an artifact, costs 2 and a green. And it says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a token. If you do, put an acorn counter on Chitter Spitter. Squirrels you control get +1/+1 for each acorn counter on Chitter Spitter. And then 1 and a green, tap it, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Okay, this gives me no information. Is this something Chatterfang can do? Oh, okay. This is just a Chatterfang thing. So let me read Chatterfang real quick. Chatterfang, Squirrel General. Costs 2 and a green, legendary creature, Squirrel Warrior. It's a 3/3. It has Forest Walk, so important. And then it says, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead. So it's like a little token doubler combo thing. Then it has an activated ability, 1 black, sacrifice X squirrels, target creature gets +X, -X until end of turn. So they had 3 squirrels. They could pump up this Yargle and make it huge.
Yeah.
The Yargle player thinks for a second and decides to swing at the Old Stickfingers player. I tap a swamp, drop the 2 tokens and Chatterfang to Chatterfang's effect, making Yargle a 21-3, killing the Stick Fingers player to 21 commander damage. At that point, I scoop because with no board, I'm the prime target for dying in 2 turns. So we shuffle up the same decks and start a new game as we were all like, yeah, that was the perfect storm of shuffles and ramp going just how we needed. But in the next game, the salt was showing as old Stick Fingers player would not let me get a foothold in the game and was pretty much hard targeting me down the entire game.
Yeah, fucking get wrecked, bro. I'd do the same thing. You fucking kidding me? That salt was earned. This is deserved. I would have targeted you the whole fucking time. The rest of that night, I would have targeted you. I've been like, you fucking kidding me right now?
Especially with the 3-player follow-up game. Like, we always say that 3-player games are unsanctioned games. Like, just do whatever the fuck you want during a 3-player game, because it's like, you know, you're playing with funny money at that point. Like, you just do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter, man.
Yeah, I'm on Stick Finger side here. I'm like, definitely would have targeted you. Like, if somebody's gonna do that, if you're about to die and you convince someone else to swing at me and then kill me by also destroying your whole board state,
and then you scoop,
I'm gonna target you the rest of that evening. I might target you the next time I fucking see you and play. Like,
it is kind of like the ultimate exercise in king making.
Yeah, like for real.
Let me help you kill this other person and I'll scoop after that. I won't even play after that. You can just win right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, setting aside what I just said about 3-player games and how they're just absolute jank fests and it doesn't really matter. That's just how I view them. A lot of people, you know, you still want to play the good game, but you know, if you're trying to have like the sanctity of a game, you are so obviously the villain here, Media Magnet. I can say that because you're a patron and we're buds, and you can, you know, yell at me in the Discord later, but you're so the villain here.
Yeah.
You are like, you chose to speak up, make the deal to knock out this other player, and then to scoop. Like, what was the board state that the Stick Fingers player had? Were they a few turns away from doing something? Like, could they have still won through this Multani player, through the Yargle Multani? I mean, come on. I don't know. I think this is more salty confessional than like,
yeah,
was
for
I
sure.
the asshole here? You know,
it's like I did something bad, guys.
Yeah, I think we've all been here before, where we've done the kind of like goofy king makey play, and
I'm innocent.
Well, let's go to the records. Let's pull up the old records
Tony
of
on
our
trial.
games. Yeah. Let's go back to that episode. Also, the post title here that is like, I may have nuked someone to Saltland. Like, I think you fucking did, dude.
Yeah.
And maybe you didn't bring the nuke to the table, but you definitely like improved the laser guiding system for that nuke.
Yeah.
You definitely were like, oh, send it here, actually.
Yeah. Send it here and then I'll enhance the power so that it's effective enough.
Yeah. I gotta say it though, I do love plays like that, man. Not a play that ends with this sort of like salty scoop and a finish and you know, king makey thing and it feels weird and you move on to the next game. But I love those moves where you're like, hey, let's team up a little bit. I got something that can just buff your creature just enough and make this like a little bit more irritating. Like, one of my favorite things is Kessig Wolf Run, that land. You know that land?
Yeah.
It's a land back from like Innistrad days. You know, taps for 1 colorless, and then you can pay a red, a green, and X, and target creature gets +X/+O and trample. And it's like such a fun land. I used to run it in my old Marisi deck back when I played it, because generally like you're using it on your own shit, but every once in a while there will be a moment where you're like, yeah, I'm just going to give Tony's thing like +5/+O and trample and just like really fuck with the board state right now.
Or sometimes it's literally just the trample, because it's like you just swing and you're like, I'm actually going to give that trample and you're going to die now.
Yeah, like that shit. Or it's just like enough to give like the commander damage that you need to like push it over the edge or something like that.
That's why sometimes I love Key to the City, which says discard a card, tap it, and give target creature unblockable this turn. And I've used it many times on other people's creatures. And if I trust them enough, I'll just do it. I'll be like, I'm gonna make your creature unblockable this turn, and then they like kill somebody. Most of the time, if it's Nick, I have to be like, Nick, if you swing at this person, I will fucking like make it unblockable. But it's like it's like a real feel good moment when you can just do it, and then somebody like swings at somebody and kills them.
Oh yeah, dude. That card I think is very underrated. It's interesting.
Any of those types of effects that target any creature as opposed to like just one that you control is like more potent than you'd think.
Yeah. Have you seen this Yargle and Multani card?
No, but knowing Yargle, I assume it's just like a fat slap with a tiny ass. Is that how you?
That is very well said. It costs 3 colorless, 2 black and a green, legendary creature, Frog Spirit Elemental, and it has only flavor text on the card, no abilities, and it's an 18/6.
Yeah.
18 power, 6 toughness.
Yeah.
Just like fucking silly, dude.
I love
absolute silly card. Ugh.
Well, because the OG Yargle is like a 9/3.
Yeah, I think a 9/3.
It's a 9/3 or a 6/4 or something.
It's a 9/3 with nothing on it,
which I kind of love. For how much? 3?
5 mana.
Oh, lame.
And the original Multani has like power and toughness equal to the number of cards in all players' hands, which nice. Can be pretty crazy in 4-player games.
Yeah, there's always somebody at the table trying to draw a butt ton of cards, you know.
Yeah, he didn't really get that ability with this, that they're just like, hey, it's going to be just a big fat Yargle. And the art is really silly. It's like Yargle gets like wrapped up in Multani armor. And the flavor text is silly. If you haven't seen this card, just look at it. It's from March of the Machine. It's one of those combo cards.
Nice.
A lot of these cards like slipped past me. I was talking about this kind of recently. I think we were talking about it in the Patreon Discord.
Yeah.
A lot of like March of the Machine and especially Aftermath. When I see a card from Aftermath, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I've never seen this in my life. And we're at this point where we're so flooded with Magic product where a lot of sets are slipping past me. And I actually kind of like it, dude.
Well, it makes deck building more fun when you finally find something you want to go and you start looking up cards and there's a bunch of shit that you haven't actually seen or played.
Yeah,
it just makes it more interesting.
Days. Feels like old days of finding cool cards in Magic. And, you know, it probably helps that our content isn't contingent on like reviewing sets and reading every single card that gets printed in a set. I do feel for the people that have to do that shit. But for us, I don't have to do that. So I could just ignore an entire set. And it'll make my Magic content just fine.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, what do you think about the salt rating on this one?
This one, I mean, it's like a little bit salty. It's mostly sweet. It's just kind of like a funny story. I will say, you know, you are the villain media magnet. But it seems like you're owning it at least a little bit here.
Yeah. Became the evil you swore to protect us against. Like,
exactly.
I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you don't want this to happen, maybe next time don't king make so hard.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, is that time of the fucking week?
Ooh, Tony, I think it is that time of the week.
Hell yeah. But what time is it?
It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Every fucking week, bitch. Gremlins
up. It's the time of the week where we say, Tony. Tony. What's the salty card of the week?
Hey, the salty card of the week.
Salty
this week.
roads take me home to the mine I belong.
That's good enough. You don't even.
Yeah, do I need to do more?
Like,
thanks,
no,
man.
That's great.
Release me. I didn't have another line planned.
Fun fact: in the quartet that Sam and I used to sing in, the first quartet I was ever in, I think the first quartet you were ever in too.
Oh yeah,
maybe
our first foray into barbershop singing at all, man.
We sang that song.
We sang Country Roads. Yeah, it was.
And
it was
nobody has
hits.
found us on the internet yet, but that's probably the biggest hint you'll ever get. So anyway, the salty card of the week this week is Mindslaver.
Oh, have we not done this one? Oh man,
I couldn't believe that we hadn't done it. When I was looking, I was like, "Fuck that card," and I was like, "Did we do that one?" And then I looked.
God, dude. You know what? I think we talk about it in the last episode.
We might talk about it, but it wasn't the salty card of the week.
It's not the salty card of the week, but we talk about it in the last episode. And that always, we had like a salty story about it.
Gotcha.
Subscribe to the Patreon if you want the lost episode, everybody. It's
oh shit, yeah, I forgot it was
it's one of
on
our earliest episodes that we, for some whatever, there's a whole intro to it. Just fucking listen to it. I'm not giving you context now.
What's a Mindslaver? It's 6 colorless, legendary artifact. Pay 4 mana and tap. Sacrifice Mindslaver. You control target player during that player's next turn.
So simple and beautiful.
And it has the flavor text. It's a helm that leaves the head at its most vulnerable.
Ooh, that's a great flavor text. I don't think I've ever read that.
So, Sam, how does this card make you feel?
Well, honestly, I kind of love Mindslaver.
Oh, I know you fucking love this card.
I have a deep love for Mindslaver. Oh, it's just such a good card. It's so fun.
Whatever dipshit made this card and did not have it say exile on it after you do this is a fucking dipshit. Whoever was like, this isn't broken, this will be fine.
I agree.
Fuck that person.
That is a fucking mistake. So I love this card because when I first started getting into EDH, I've talked about this a million times. I bought all of those Planeswalker monocolored precons, and one of them was Duretti, Scrap Savant. And good old Duretti Spaghetti, man, can bring artifacts back from your graveyard pretty reliably. So that whole deck was just mono red artifacts, like sack artifacts, bring out bomb artifacts from my yard, like Artifact Reanimator, right? And one of the things I could do was get the game down to like a 2v1 or a 1v1. You know, as long as one player was knocked out, I could reliably recur Mindslaver like once or twice each turn, and sometimes twice, and have like 2 opponents on lock and use them to kill each other. Generally, it was just one opponent, and you get to this point where I was like, hey, I can like Mindslaver you every single turn. Like, you're gonna lose, you know. just know that there's no hope at this point. You just should concede, basically.
Well, because again, for the kids at home, like, I don't know if you heard me the first time I read it, but it's like you control target player during that player's next turn. Like,
yeah,
you literally take their hand and play Magic for them. Like,
it's so funny because you get to make all of the shittiest moves. You get to be like, oh, Swords to Plowshare is my own commander.
Yeah, and then I'll sack all my treasure tokens and just let the mana go away, because who needs it?
I'll cast my commander again and just sack it immediately just to increase the commander tax. Yeah. I'll like do all this
search,
like stupid
I'll vamp tutor, but I'll just fail to find anything.
Yeah, exactly. Fail to find on all the fetch lands, like Kukabog yourself. I don't think you could do that, but you know, you just shit like that. Like, just do all the dumbest plays. Send your tiniest creatures at the person with the biggest blockers. Like, it's just so fun. It's a great little card. I love it. Tony, how do you feel about it?
I think it's been described how I feel about it. So I hate this card so much because Sam played it. Like, I have been the target of the Mindslaver. And because there's no innocence behind it. There is not a single fucker that puts this in a deck that is like, oh, I'm going to do this once and it'll be like an advantage play, right? Like,
oh, because it's such a disadvantage play.
This is in there to recur, like, exclusively.
If you only cast it once, you've made such a fucking mistake, because you have made an enemy for the entire rest of the game. You never control someone's entire turn, misplay their whole hand just for them to be like, sweet, so you and I should team up against the other player, right?
Yeah.
If you aren't recurring Mindslaver and removing that player from the entire game, you've basically fucked up, because you're going to get such a horrible crackback.
You said for like that game, the subtext on this is for that night.
Yeah, for
the rest of that night. Like, if you play this in an early game, like, they're gonna fucking hate. It doesn't even matter if you don't have Mindslaver in the deck anymore. They're gonna be like, nope, fuck that guy. Like,
yeah, it's so true.
I've like seen it happen many times, not even just in our pod, but in other places. Like, fuck this guy. Like,
yeah. So, real quick question: which Mindslaver art is your favorite? Because there's 2. And the art is actually very similar. Like, the Mindslaver helmet. The Mindslaver is a legendary artifact. I know you mentioned that, Tony, but this shit's a legendary. So you can also, if you have like Sisay, you can like, both Sisays can tutor it to the battlefield, which is pretty fucking awesome. So you could just have Mindslaver in the command zone, basically. But it is like a unique helmet that I just think it looks dope.
I like the Scars of Mirrodin art more.
Yeah, Scars of Mirrodin was the one that I played originally. So that definitely has like a big place in my heart. I think that one wins out just a little bit more for me than the other one. But the helmet on the old Mirrodin, like the Mindslaver art in the old Mirrodin, it looks like it's made of like lime jello, and I just want to take a bite.
Interesting.
Also, I want to read the reminder text. It says, you see all cards that player could see and make all decisions for the player. And then in the old one, it says, he or she doesn't lose life because of mana burn.
Yeah.
Like, so you couldn't take over somebody, tap all their lands, and pass and like burn them out with mana burn.
And just be like, nuke yourself with mana burn, which is kind of hilarious.
Like that wasn't an option back in the day, but you could still do very evil things. I fucking love it, dude. I love it. So Tony, where does this sit on the top 100 salty cards?
Well, Sam, why don't you guess, you little bitch, you little gremlin bitch?
I think it is.
You're wrong.
47.
Okay, I will guess now.
You can't guess. You don't get to guess.
I will guess 26.
Fuck off. You don't get to guess.
Insert a drum roll and the whatchamacallit. Is that your final answer? We'll lock it in.
It is my final answer. You can lock it in.
It is 26.
Wow, I can't believe
I'm a fucking pro. And you
said 47. I said 26.
That is not how this.
I don't know. It's weird that you had the number in front of you and you still guessed wrong.
But yeah, so it's 26.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. I should have realized that it was higher up because it's so
Definitely
fucking salty. I just feel like we've gone through so many of the high ones, so I'm metagaming a little bit. But
yeah. Your metagame is wrong though.
One thing I want to add is that I love that we've kept the "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire" soundbite, which is something that we added on the last Tony and Sam Gremlin episode.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, that's literally where it started. You were like, we got to put this in. We were like, oh, it'd be so funny. And then we were like, do we just keep it? I kind of like it. And now we just have it on every episode.
Yeah, love that. Somebody at me in the Discord if you don't like it, and then I'll fucking ban you.
Oh, man.
Well, that is it for the salty card of the week.
Well, thanks, Tony. That was a lovely salty card. And thank you to our Salt Packet Plus tier patrons. That's right. We do shout outs at the end of the episodes now, too.
Fucking beginning, fucking end, fucking everywhere.
We're shouting out all over the place. People, this is a thing people do. They shout out. They're like, hey, thanks for listening to my thing. Thanks for supporting me. Let me say your name on air so people can hear it.
Yeah, they can fucking know that you're a crusty dickling.
They can know how deep the crust goes. So shout out to Rothbox, Bobo Fett, Snorridges, and Sam Power Gamer. Thanks for the support, guys.
Hell yeah. Thanks.
Also, in addition to shout outs, all these people get hand-drawn tokens from me. And let me tell you, they're pretty fucking cool.
So like Sam saying that is one thing, but like I will also vouch for that because they actually are fucking sick.
It takes a lot for me to squeeze any sort of compliment out of Tony and Mike, and they both have been very complimentary about the art that I'm doing. So feels pretty good. Feels good.
Yeah. I don't like for his head to get much larger than it already is, but on this one I gotta give it to him for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the support, guys. And thank you to the rest of the prospectors for tuning in to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine. If you want more Howling Salt Mine, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. As you know, we have some new Patreon tiers on there. You can be part of our monthly Salt Packet token club. You're getting tokens from us every single month. Also, if you're Mr. Moneybags himself, you can fund a trip for us to go to a real salt mine and record an episode in an actual salt mine. Which I'm sure we can figure out the logistics if it ever gets paid for. We'll fucking make it happen.
Don't say it like that. We will. That's what the fucking tier is.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna happen. It'll definitely happen. We also have bonus content every single week. We're putting up Stray Grains for you guys to listen to. We actually have one on the main feed. If you haven't heard of Stray Grains before, there's a little teaser over on the main feed that you can check out. And we also have our once a month extra salt episodes where we're doing deck techs. We're talking about favorite cards in each piece of the color pie. We're ragging on each other. We're doing Q&A. We're doing a bunch of fun shit in addition to the stuff that we get to do on this show. If you have a salty story that you want featured on a future episode, send it to us. You can submit that on our website, thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com. We're inconsistent with the use of the, so our website might as well do the same. We have a little questionnaire area there where you can submit salty stories and salty confessionals to us. You can also email it to us at our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com, or DM it to us on any of our social media, and we will find it and get it into our queue. As always, we ask you to keep that short, sweet, and to the salt. And we don't always do that. We actually forget to do that very often. And actually, a lot of these are pretty long, but it's fine. I still read them. I'll still read them, man. I don't edit any of them. I'll still read them. Another way you can support the show is to get some custom Dragon Shield sleeves, which we're selling on our website, or get some custom merch with the Howling Salt Mine logo or other beautiful, funny little things that we have on a shirt, which is at our Bonfire store. All the links for that shit are in the show notes, so check it out. And if you don't have any cash you can spend on the Howling Salt Mine to help support us, you can support us another way, which is giving us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice. That helps us appear more in the algorithm. You've got a bunch of prospectors coming out of the woodwork recently telling us that they found us through those algorithms. So it definitely works. And honestly, it's just really cool to see how much support you guys out there are giving us. It really does mean a lot. Every little review we read, every little 5-star review that comes in, it just is a great way to elevate the show so other people can see it. And lastly, we got to shout him out, our amazing podcast artist, JD Burnett. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo scheduled because he's a really awesome dude.
10,000 subscribers are bust.
Hell yeah. We're getting pretty close. Not that close, but it's happening. We're on the way. We're on the way. It's on the rise, dude. My prediction is 2024, we're getting tattoos.
I used to be like, it'll never happen. And like, so I threw out a number of 10,000 and I was like, that seems like impossible. And it doesn't feel impossible anymore.
And then we passed 1,000
like it's
Tony
happening
was like,
tomorrow, but like,
yeah. I think it was like something we passed like 800 subscribers on Spotify. And I mentioned that to Tony and he was like, oh shit, we're almost at 1,000. I'm like, oh, we're way over 1,000 across all of the podcast platforms. And he was like, oh shit, it's real. It's happening. So keep it coming. If anything, just to force us to get tattoos.
Yeah.
Listen out of spite. Subscribe out of spite to mar our pristine skin with ink forever.
Forever. You know that like Sandlot thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, forever. I got you.
Nice. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is another episode of the Gremlin Boys. A little
Gremlin Zone.
And stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Yo, bitch.
Yo.
Fucking Gremlin Boys.
Gremlin Boys in the house.
Love that.
Well, before we start, we got something to do, Tony.
Oh shit. Dude,
Places.
Dude, I
places,
literally
everyone. Places, everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh man.
I hear what you're saying that it doesn't have what's Mike in it, but like,
yeah, what's his name?
I feel like it's so that
other
fucking
guy.
Loser.
Yeah,
That guy didn't even show up to record.
He's not even fucking here, man.
Yeah.
Through well-timed ramp, the Yargle and Matani. Ugh, God, that's a fucking tongue twister, baby. Yargle and Multani.
Say it 5 times fast.
Yargle and Multani, Yargle and Multani, Yargle and Multani, Yargle and Multani, Yargle and Multani. Yargle and Multani.
Also, you did better than I thought you would for the first 3 and then just went downhill, but it's fine.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I thought I did better for the last ones, but I did say it way slower. So stop fucking knocking me out.